We're so lucky to have some really big talent come to the Van Wezel to perform, and we love it when those touring performers have time to come to join us on our stage here. Neil Berg is celebrating a record-breaking decade of annual Van Wezel performances, and this year he brings us an exciting new show celebrating 50 years of rock and roll, and he's going to play for us. Take it away, Neil.
Now, where did rock and roll start? Some people say the Delta blues of Robert Johnson back in the 20s and 30s, and that led directly to the jump swing blues of Louis Jordan in the 40s, and also Hank Williams doing his country thing. And Hank Williams, he led right to a guy named Bill Haley and the Comets. From Bill Haley, we get Elvis Presley, and then the great Buddy Holly, writing his own songs and performing them, which inspired four men from Liverpool, the Beatles, coming out in that Ed Sullivan Show. And from there was the British explosion with the Rolling Stones. We get to explore all of this, including what was going on in Detroit at the time, a thing called Motown. But at the same time, upstate New York, freedom, love, Woodstock, and a thing called hard rock, the great riffs of rock and roll. In the beginning of the 70s, it was more the piano men and the singer-songwriters like Carole King. And how about Elton John and Benny and the Jets? Or who can forget the piano man, Billy Joel? And that led to some other great country rock artists like the Eagles. Or the classic rock of the mid-70s like Fleetwood Mac. But then something happened in the late 70s called disco. And kind of took rock and roll away. But if you ask me, the real death of that first part of rock and roll was 1980 in New York City, when the madman went in front of the Dakota building and took the life of John Lennon. Right after that, MTV came in and made it more about appearance than the music. And rock and roll, as we first knew it, was changed forever. But if you ask me, you gotta go back to a young man from St. Louis, Missouri. In the early 50s, he took his guitar, took a piano riff, put it onto the guitar, told an autobiographical story about his life growing up on Good Street in St. Louis. His name was Chuck Berry, and the song was Johnny Be Good.
Awesome. 50 years of rock and roll.
Yeah.
You covered a lot. Which one influenced you the most?
Oh my gosh, I had a chance to tour rock and roll before I was ever writing for Broadway and producing Broadway. And I was out with Aerosmith and got a chance to play with the Doors on their reunion tour. And, you know, so for me it was the piano players because I'm a pianist. So if I go back, you know, it was kind of those Billy Joel.
Oh, we cannot wait to hear you. You're going to be here October 13th, right? He's going to be October 13th at the Van Wezel. A great show, 50 years of rock and roll, so get your tickets now. And I hear he may be back next year. And coming up next, a fall fashion preview.